Thank you, Ceann Corla. Minister, the impact of the poor pay, the appalling conditions on Defence Forces families has very real and significant consequences on many of the people that I represent in Kildare. They often come indeed to my office seeking help with rent poverty, homelessness, fuel and child poverty. And recently, and very sadly, I met with a number of Defence Forces families struggling to meet the costs of paying for their children to pay their Leaving Cert and Junior Cert exams. How bad is that? I've been in touch with Sarah Walsh from the WPDF, and I want to welcome her and our colleague Sharon Dunn here today, many times since the group was established in November 2016. And in her words, the Defence Forces are suffering from both political neglect and institutional indifference. The members of this organisation deserve a lot of credit for highlighting the enormous personal sacrifices made by men and women serving in the Defence Forces and indeed their families, and about the impact on family life, the prolonged period of times away from home, the daily struggles experienced by the families as a result of the paltry wages, making them unable to meet their basic needs, issues with training, exercise and overseas missions. Recently, Minister, I held 2 public meetings regarding the Defence Forces, one in Newbridge and one in Portarlington, where I welcomed the opportunity to hear first-hand experiences from parents and partners of those working with the Defence Forces. And the words that I would use to describe those meetings really were frustration, anger, helplessness, which were expressed by the very vast majority of those in attendance. And indeed, there was very sobering listening. One word was completely absent from both of those meetings, and that was hope. And I've rarely attended or hosted a public meeting where there was absolutely no hope. People spoke about the generational pride that they had throughout their families, through different generations serving, and now they absolutely would not recommend or support a decision of their son or daughter to join the Defence Forces. Of huge concern are mental health issues, difficulties, increased stress and low morale being experienced by our Defence Forces sailors and air crew. Only this morning I heard about a class of aircraft technicians who've been sitting in Baldonnel with no one to train them. There are people there that started 3 years ago, started first year. They're still at first year because there is nobody to train them, and many of them are not turning up in the morning, and you cannot blame them for that. Retired Army Commandant Cathal Berry sent me an adjudication report from September 2010 in relation to the Army Ranger Wing. They were forced into arbitration in 2010. There was a breakthrough in terms of the allowance, which has still not been implemented 9 years later. And the Taoiseach today says he wants to send that group to Mali, which obviously is a high-risk mission. But you, Minister, and the Taoiseach are asking a lot of this group, seeing as money has been owed to them for over 9 years.